and you are a banker and an insurance man. And with record profits being taken by insurance companies and record compensation packages being given to insurance executives, and 50 million people almost uninsured, and that's growing every day. As people lose their jobs, they also lose their health care. With 80% of those uninsured working, these are not people who are not working. They are working individuals. Why do you think it's okay to allow insurance companies to drop preventive measures like mammograms, childhood immunizations, newborn screenings, cancer treatments, cancer screenings, diabetic screenings? Why do you think that insurance companies should be able to drop these preventive measures and life-saving treatments while insurance companies are making record profits and insurance executives taking home record compensation?
You have 2 minutes, Mr. Luetkemeyer.
Thank you, Bob. Obviously, you're referring to one of the bills that we worked on while I was in the House. That bill was about affordability and accessibility of health care to individuals. Do you realize, Judy, that if you put mandates on every single policy out there, how much that raises the cost? Do you realize that right now, 25% of the cost of your health care is due to mandates? And you realize that if you put those mandates on, for instance, one of those immunization ones, for instance, you realize how many people, because of the cost of that mandate, will no longer have coverage? It's the straw that broke the camel's back. Thousands of people will no longer have any coverage at all. Instead of a handful of people that will be able to have coverage for a test, you have thousands of people out here who have no coverage at all, not even for the test at all. You're missing the whole point of what's going on with this discussion. And this discussion is about affordability and accessibility of health care. That's something I worked on tirelessly when I was in the House. I'll give you an example. One of the groups of folks who in this country who have no access to health care whatsoever are the people who have diseases or conditions that make them uninsurable for any coverage whatsoever. I was one of the leaders in the House who helped promote and redo the high-risk pool for our state. Worked on it for 6 years and managed to get the bill all the way through the House, through the Senate, and died on the Senate floor the last day of session. It actually was passed 2 years later after I got all the groundwork laid. That's what I talk about, accessibility and affordability for health care, helping people to be able to have access to it. Yes, those mandates are wonderful. I support them. The problem is, if you keep adding mandate after mandate, there will never be enough dollars in the pot to be able to keep everybody insured. One of the things that I was kind of ahead of my time with, at that time I was also working on a mandate commission, a review board. At that time there was only a handful. Today, 30 states have that. I was a leader in this field. At that time we didn't have a bare bones health plan. I was only 2 or 3 states in the country that do it, and now there's 12. Again, I was a leader in trying to resolve these problems and make health care affordable and accessible. That's what that issue is all about, Judy. If you go back and take a look at it, you'll find out. Thank you very much.
Mr. Luetkemeyer, you have a chance to ask a question now.
Thank you. Judy, while serving as a state representative, you voted for higher taxes on incomes, you voted to disallow or not allow seniors and veterans to no longer be able to pay have to pay income tax on their Social Security and veterans benefits. You voted to not allow schools to have to not pay gas taxes or taxes on their gasoline for the school buses. And you voted to provide taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal immigrants. Now, as you campaign for Congress, you claim you'll give tax breaks to companies who keep jobs in America. My question is, should voters believe your record as state representative, or should we ignore your pattern of raising taxes and believe you now as you run for Congress?
2 minutes, Mrs. Baker.
Absolutely, they should believe me on this because I've worked for working families my entire career. You know, Blaine, I want to spend tax dollars wisely, and the bill that you're talking about was a bill that would have actually given benefits to people making over $80,000 a year. This is, again, the opportunity for me was to choose between a pot of money that we could have used to actually restore low-income seniors to health care who have no other option. I wanted to use that money to restore seniors to health care. While other wealthy individuals in our district, you know, would have only gotten about a $120 tax benefit. For me, the choice was really clear on how we should spend our taxpayers' money. We have to make choices, and it has to be done wisely. We're always having to make choices when we're in a position to do so over a budget. And for me, a budget is a moral document, and it tells you where your priorities are. For me, in that particular bill, it was with low-income seniors who are struggling with health problems. There's a clear difference between me and my opponent on this issue with seniors. My opponent supports the plan to move money out of the Social Security system into privatization and into the stock market. Just think where we would be today had we really allowed that to happen several years ago, with putting that much Social Security dollars at risk in a stock market that has essentially almost been cut in half. So my plan is to protect seniors and to protect Social Security and make sure that we keep our promise to our seniors. Those are our grandmas and our grandpas, you guys. Those are people we really care about. These are the people we should support, and we should protect Social Security.
Thank you. Let's go into health care a little bit more deeply if we can, since you both have touched upon it. The rising health care costs are greatly impacting small business growth. What are your plans for making health care more affordable while maintaining adequate coverage and high quality? And Mrs. Baker, you get the first answer.
You are so right on, Mr. Pretty. It is the cost of health care that is our problem. I've spent my entire working career raising quality and lowering costs of health care. That is what I will do, and take that expertise to Congress. I have a master's degree in health care administration, have worked on health care policy while I've been at this State House. You know, in healthcare, we have a really big hidden tax. For many of us, it's just called the premium that continues to spiral out of control. What we need to do is quite the opposite of what my opponent proposed and how he even defended the fact that he would not allow preventive care to be covered. We need to move towards more preventive medicine, more preventive care. It costs a whole lot more, Blaine, to treat cancer after it has become full-blown cancer than if we screen for it in a mammogram and find it early. If we catch disease early, then it is actually less expensive. If we promote preventive care, we will reduce cost. And there's many other ways to address the cost drivers in healthcare. I have the expertise to do it, and pledge to you that I will roll up my sleeves on the healthcare committee and make sure that happens. You know, with prevention care, with lowering the cost of health care, we can save lives. How often do we actually get the opportunity to save lives, do the right thing, and save money at the right time? In the American healthcare system, that is incredibly possible, and that will be my goal when I get to Washington.
Mr. Luetkemeyer.
Thank you, Bob. I think there's a number of things we can do to reduce costs. I take a more private sector approach. Judy likes the big government, thinks the government's end all to be all. They can be your dad and mother and everybody else and help you along this path. I think that we can help ourselves if we are given the choice. I think one way you can save money is with new medical technology. A lot of the physicians are for this. It increases their ability to do their job and do it in a safe manner. I support small business plans where small businesses are able to get together and pool themselves and then go to an insurance company and get a better rate just like the big guys do. I think there are a number of things we can do like that to try and find ways to conserve dollars. Again, I've worked at the very basic level of trying to provide care for those who can't even get care. Whenever I talked about trying to get something for those people who have the diseases that make them uninsurable. I've worked on this policy in these situations for years. With regards to your ability to understand these issues and administer them, Judy, I'm glad you mentioned that, because as director of the University Physicians Group back in the early 2000s here, according to the report by Claire McCaskill, you helped lose $2 million and cost 8,000 people refunds. So I'm not sure you have the ability to manage health care any more than at the national level than you do at the local level. So I'm surprised that you would even bring that up and make that comment. With regards to the privatization of Social Security, let's be clear on this. I have never said I would take all the Social Security dollars and privatize those. That's a contract with our senior citizens. How dare you say that, from the standpoint that that contract is something that is very, very fragile. It's something that we have to continue to adhere to. The only thing I've ever said is I would look at the privatization, the 10% that was proposed years ago for people under 55, and it's an option, it's voluntary. It's not forcing anybody to do anything like that. With that, I just want to say that I think that we have the opportunity in this country to solve our health crisis and our problems if we get together, get everybody around a table who has a vested interest in this, and find ways to come together to make these things happen. That's what I've always done at my local level as a state rep. That's what we can do when we get to D.C. 1 minute, Ms. Baker.
I don't have to say it, you said it yourself, just repeating what you said in your support of that kind of a plan. The thing is that with healthcare, again, it's lowering the cost that we need to do. We need to make sure that we have opportunities for small business as well. Remember that story I told you of the person who can't change jobs because they have pre-existing condition. We've got to make sure that our healthcare company, our healthcare system is as good as the rest of the world has. Every other industrialized nation in the world has health care for their citizens. And I am not proposing just a government strategy. It's actually a private and public partnership that would move us towards making sure that we cover the uninsured and provide preventive medicine. We're going to lower the costs. We're going to make drug companies negotiate price and medical device companies negotiate price. We're going to bring down the cost of health care so that we don't pay twice as much as every other industrialized nation in the world.